So you're looking to scale your OnlyFans management agency. What are the first key hires that you need to make in order to scale? That's what I want to cover in today's video, right? I want to go over what your first hires should be, what you should consider, and it's going to be different depending on the situation. So I just want to throw a couple different first hires that I would consider. Now, if you didn't watch my video on why it's so important to have a business partner, if you are doing this alone, I would go and watch that video first. But regardless, let's just get into it. It doesn't matter if you have a business partner, if there's two of you, this is one of you running the business. These are going to be the first hires. This is what I like to call manning up, right? This is where you're going to actually man up in the sense of start to get more people on your team, right? Recruiting, hiring, and posting associates, right? Now, couple different people, roles you should consider for your first hires, and that's what I'm going to go over right now, right? We've got stuff like a running mate, a chat manager, a sales personnel, an admin or an executive, or maybe an organic content marketer, right? Those are kind of the main first key hires you're going to want to have. So let me just break down what each one is, and then you can decide which one you feel like you need depending on the current scenario, because every agency is run slightly differently. And so you might need something different to another agency, right? Now, a running mate, right? Personally for me, a running mate, I always find a running mate, right? Or another way to think of a running mate is like a right hand, right? Especially when taking up a new business venture. I will never start a business without a business partner, right? And like I said, I explained that in another video on why, so go and watch that, link here. But a running mate is a person that will follow you through the desert or to the end of the earth, right? This is a person that's loyal and committed and sees the big vision of where you're going and what you're actually doing, right? And it's up to you to take care of this individual and not steer them wrong, okay? Visualize yourself as Batman or a superhero and answer the question, who is your Robin, right? So that's super key when you're looking for that person. You're the Batman, who's the Robin, right? And so this person, this running mate that you're going to hire, right, this right hand, this Robin, this person could serve as a rover, which means like a floater role that sort of holds multiple hats and supports areas as needed. Multiple hats just means they wear different, they do a bit of everything, right? They maybe manage some chatters. They like when you're just starting up and it's just you and someone else, you're both going to wear multiple hats, right? Maybe you split the agency into two, like almost like a chatting agency, marketing agency. You were going to do all the roles that involve marketing, organic content marketing, client relations, blah, 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 blah. He's going to do all the stuff that surrounds chatting, right? That way you both serve as like a rover, and that's like a floater role that holds multiple hats and supports areas as needed, right? And so if warranted, maybe groomed into an executive or key member as you continue to grow and scale, right? This is how you can figure out if this person's actually going to be a good business partner long term, right? And so if it's your business, your idea, you're the one that's putting in the resources to start, and you want to get a business partner, maybe have them as your running mate first before you actually make them like a 50-50 business partner, for example, right? And if you do find someone that's loyal, and is actually putting in the work, then it's your job to take care of them. And again, you want to groom them into an executive member as you continue to grow and scale, right? And you want to give them equity. And so these special people will often present early on in business to powerful leaders, right? So why leadership's super, super important, right? And PBD has a ton of good stuff on leadership. So if you don't understand leadership, there's a ton of stuff that Patrick Bet-David talks about in terms of leadership, tons of good books on leadership. I would go through those, right? But again, these special people, your right hand, the running mate, those special people will often present early on to powerful leaders. So it's up to you to recognize and handle them as needed, right? You will get the benefits of loyalty and commitment coupled with affordable compensation. These special people will get the benefits of being a foundational member and a ticket to something big, an early opportunity before it's gone, right? So for example, Jack is a prime example of a running mate. Before I launched my agency, he was literally my running mate, right? So before I launched that, he was the running mate, and now he is obviously the CEO, right? He graduated to the executive level and is a business partner, right? So that's the first role that I would recommend hiring for. If you don't want to do a running mate, you just want to do it on your own, then there's a couple other roles you should consider hiring first, right? Now, an admin or an executive assistant, I can't even speak, an admin, executive assistant, or rover. All the same thing, pretty much mean the same thing. Admin, executive assistant, they all kind of mean the same thing, right? The reason that this can be a good first hire is because it's going to replace yourself of all repetitive tasks, right? So if you're not taking actions on purpose or something that is going to equate to millions of dollars or more, or influencing hundreds of thousands, or if not millions of people, then don't do it, right? Do not do it. You should be thinking in terms of, how do I create leverage? How do I think bigger? If you want to learn to think bigger, I would recommend going and reading the 10X rule by Grant Cardone, right? But you know, if you run the business on your own, you're starting to flourish, then you might want to hire an admin or an executive assistant or a rover, all the same thing, just to replace yourself of all those repetitive tasks, right? Again, you don't want to be doing anything that, like I said, if you're not taking actions on purpose, you don't want to be doing them, right? So just recruit, hire, and train an assistant that can relieve you from all the day-to-day busy work, right? This person can be trained for many functions of the organization and serve as a rover as well, which is, again, someone that wears many hats in the organization and can actually end up becoming a foundational part of the business as time goes on, right? So that's like another key hire that you want to make really soon, is an executive assistant, rover / admin. They're going to take care of all the day-to-day stuff that you don't have time to do, right? Because again, you want to replace yourself of all repetitive tasks, and if you're not doing stuff for purpose, you're just wasting your time, and it is that death by 1,000 cuts principle. Again, referring to a Sam Evans video, I would go and watch Death by 1,000 Cuts. It's a very good video, right? Now, what is another key hire you can make if you don't want to do the admin / executive assistant / rover? Well, sales personnel, right? Sales is one of the core skills of any business. If you can't sell, you can't make money, right? And as we all know, money is the blood of the company, right? And going back to the last role, right? You want to be working on the business, not in the business, right? Which is why it's so key to have that executive assistant that can work in the business for you while you work on the business and push the needle forward, right? But regardless, salespeople, right? That's the next one, sales personnel. The first consideration of starting a new business is obviously actually generating money, right? And without money, there is no business, right? Like I said, money is the blood of a company. So hiring someone to help with sales and marketing early on is key. And this person can either help close deals or free you up so that you can close and generate revenue, right? Obviously, in the OFM business, if you can't close models, if you can't close deals with models, then you're not going to make any money, right? So that's why sales personnel is super important early on. Now, the next role, as I briefly mentioned on this, sales and marketing are obviously super important, and early on, they're probably the most key roles, and they fit hand in hand, right? Sales and marketing go hand in hand. And so an organic content marketer could be also one of your first hires that I would consider if I was to start my business again, right? And an organic content marketer is going to stay up to date with the latest social media trends. They're going to stay up to date with platform updates and the best practice, and they're going to stay up to date with the best practices to adapt strategies accordingly, right? Content creation, developing content strategies, they're going to do that side of things too. They're going to actively engage and understand audience behavior and community of the creators that they're working with. And they're also going to help you maintain brand identity, brand voice, and consistency. Plus, they're going to organize collabs and coordination, for example, with influencers. So if you're doing influencer partnerships, stuff like that, right? They can organize that and come up with the content ideas that you can do there, right? If you're doing cross collabs. And so that's stuff that they're going to do as an organic content marketer. But the key role there is they're going to be staying up to date with all the latest social media trends and working on content strategies with your models if you're in the OFM space to do that, right? And then the last role that is another key hire that you want to make as soon as possible is obviously going to be a chatting manager and or a chatting agency and or just like a good chatter themselves, right? Like I would arguably hire a chatter and train them, like your first chatter that's really good, train them to be the chat manager. If you really want to relieve yourself and only focus on just marketing, just to start, like let's just say, the first 6 months of the year in a business, you just want to crack marketing, get really good and just get really good at generating traffic, blowing models up, then it can be good to work with a chatting agency, even though you're not going to make as much money. It can be really good in terms of focus and clarity. And then the next year you can go take what you've learned from working with a chatting agency and go and build your own chatting team in-house or wherever you want to do, right? That can be super key. Hamosi says there a lot, like some of the best ways to learn is to work with people that have done it on the inside, give away a bit of your business for a bit. Like for example, if you used to work with a chatting agency and they're asking for 15%, go and do it for a bit, just so you can learn how they operate, you can learn how they sell, document what they do, right? So you can learn and go and build your own team. And sometimes that's more valuable than actually buying a course or a program or information, right? Because you're actually seeing hands-on what they do. I did it with my coaching company, where I worked with a sales agency for a while. I was paying them 25% of my business, just to learn what they did, their systems, their operations, how they hired people, how they hired, how they did X, Y, Z, right? And I learned a lot, and then I implemented it into my own business when I left and stopped working with them. And we've done the same with chatting agencies and tons of different things, right? You almost reverse engineer the process, and it's a really smart way to actually learn and to grow the company. And so, yeah, you can do a chatting agency or a chatting manager, because having a chatting manager is going to be actually a crucial part of the agency, because they will take care of everything when it comes to the OnlyFans pages as a whole, and tasks such as scheduling content for the feed, hiring chatters, training chatters, making sure that chatters are actually turning up and working, seeing what content's needed, any customs that need to be chased up, and lastly, making sure that you have a promotion running at all times, right? Or again, you have the option of going with a chatting agency that will manage all that for you, which if you're just starting out on your own, it can actually be a good decision. Like I said, if you just want to solely crack one thing at a time, because focus is key, right? And so if it's going to spread yourself too thin, then go and work with a chatting agency. Yeah, you're not going to make as much money for the first 6 months to a year, but just crack the marketing bit first, right? And once you've cracked that and that's solved and that's working and you've hired people and put people in place, then you can go and figure out the chat inside of things, right? Rather than overwhelming yourself and trying to do everything at the start. So that's what I would recommend, and that's probably what I would do if I was to start again. I'd hire a running mate first, and we would learn the entire marketing thing, so we wouldn't have to go hire an organic marketer. I would crack that. I'd go and work with a chatting agency straight away, and that's all I would focus on. And then as soon as I've got some type of income coming in, I would go and hire an admin or an executive assistant or a rover to replace myself, and my business partner or slash running mate of all the competitive tasks, right? That's what I would do. And then again, after about 6 months to a year in the business, however long it takes me to crack the organic marketing game, where I confidently know I can almost blow every model I work with up as long as they hit their KPIs, then I would go and figure the chatting side of things out, right? So that's what I would do. That's how I would scale. That's the easiest way to make your first key hires. That's how I would scale a business. If you want to learn more about all this stuff, join the school community. Super crazy information in there right now, and we are putting the price up to $194 a month. So this is actually your last chance to get in at $94 a month. And yeah, like I said, February is the best month to join, because not only is it the cheapest, but there's the most value in there, and we will be taking some stuff away, like the calls with myself. I'm only doing weekly calls for the entire month of February. After February, I will not be doing weekly calls in the school community. Purely, just to be completely honest, it's not worth my time, right? And so, yeah, now's the best time to join. Take advantage of it. Even if you want to cancel next month, just get the value for this month. It's $97, right? You can't go wrong. And again, we're putting the price up to $194, probably in the next 24 hours. So, yeah, other than that, see you at the top. Peace.